What is up, chat? We're back. It's Tier List Thursday. Didn't sleep through my alarms, so we're gonna have a full, proper one. I planned to do this one last week, but you know, woke up late, so we had to settle for months of the goddamn year. But we're at it with Dragon Ball characters. I almost said Dragon Ball Z, but there's a little more than just Z characters here. I think that's all the preamble. Hey, quick shout out, quick late happy birthday to Katie Lawson. Shout out to her. Proud of her. She finally hit 16 years old. She's growing up so fast. Anyways, let's start off with Android 16. Android 16, I think, as far as he is in the show, I'll give him a nice solid B tier. Now, it feels hard to bring up Android 16 and not mention, well, it's going to be hard to bring up any version of these characters for me, without mentioning the Dragon Ball Z abridged version. And Android 16 is one of those characters where I vastly prefer his character and his characterization in the abridged series than I do in the original, although that's not necessarily the fault of the character itself. But I love the dynamic that he and the androids have. I love how 17 and 18, you know, started off like literal siblings, although that wasn't really revealed until like 20 years after. But still, I like that, you know, and then bringing along Android 16, him being like this soulless robot, and then he just begins to find beauty and appreciation for the natural world, especially the birds, and him ending up being, you know, that pivotal character, that necessary push Gohan needs in order to reach Super Saiyan 2, which is arguably the best moment in the entire series. I mean, it's hard to compete with Goku going Super Saiyan, but Gohan Super Saiyan 2, I mean, that's why Gohan fans exist. People like Gohan because of that Super Saiyan 2 transformation, and that doesn't happen without 16. And you know, you gotta shout out to him for it. Up next we got 17. 17's kind of the same thing, although I would put 17 lower. Well, you know what? Actually, I'll put 17 up in A. Well, excuse me, I'm sorry. In the original, in Z, I mean, he doesn't really do a whole lot. Oh, Lord, give me just a second, chat. Hold on a second. I'm getting a phone call. It was spam. Anyways, so 17 in the original and in Z doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, and that's not Toriyama's fault. You know, his editors, at first they saw androids 19 and 20 and went, they're stupid, make new villains. Then he made 17 and 18. And they said, well, what are these brats? Get rid of them. And so then he had to make Cell, who he then had to, you know, upgrade twice. So, unfortunately, the androids got put in a position where they existed solely to further Cell's, like, plot and progress. But super carries 17 so hard. That dude fucking backpacked in the Tournament of Power. I mean, technically, he was the last fighter left. He won the whole thing, and he was the one who pulled up clutch and was all like, bring back everyone who died. But I mean, say what you will about the Tournament of Power, and there's a lot to say. He was fucking every single time. Like, he was really the up-and-comer, the new young up-and-comer out of Atlanta from that arc. I mean, like I said, he backpacked Universe 7. I mean, Goku and Vegeta were doing all their shit, and Frieza was there too, but like right next to them was 17. It turns out having infinite ki kind of goated, kind of broken. But that definitely gave me a finer appreciation for his character. Android 18, falls. So, Toriyama has a very long history of writing cool, interesting female characters only to have them immediately get sidelined and do nothing. I mean, it happened to Chi-Chi. It kind of happens to... Well, yeah, no, it does. It definitely happens to Bulma. Happens to Videl. And it happens to 18 as well. Once again, like I said, she was supposed to be the second... She was supposed to be the second attempt at making antagonist for the arc. Editor said no, so she just became a plot point for Cell. But, you know, she lasted longer than 17, so you got a little bit more time with her to get attached. And plus, she has that romance with Krillin, which is adorable, which is sweet. And she actually sticks around after the Cell saga. I mean, once Cell's gone, we maybe see 17 once, maybe, but, like, 18 still stays in the plot, so, you know, 18's kind of like a core character at this point. And I'd say for that, well, we're misogynistic around here. We're putting her below her brother. For the boys. These are jokes, by the way. But yeah, 18's cool. I ain't got much more left to say about her. Android 19. He's fodder for Vegeta to, like, make him look cool. I mean, you know, you need your jobbers. You need your jobbers. And that's what 19 is. But, I mean, that's... Shit, does he go in D tier? Yeah, no, he goes in D tier, because he also has that annoying-ass voice in the dub, where he talks like this, and I'm not exactly sure what they were going for. But it's grating, it's annoying. He shows up for, like, 10 seconds, he's slightly intimidating. With Dr. Gero. But then, you know, Toriyama got told no, and then Vegeta whoops his ass. Yeah, not a lot to say. Bardock. Okay, so Bardock's hard to rank, because there's two versions of Bardock. There's Z Bardock, or there's the debut version of Bardock, and then there are all the versions. There's the slow retconning of his character to where he exists now. And mostly just because they use art of, like, modern Bardock, like Super Bardock. I'm gonna put him in C tier. No, yeah, C tier. He would go in D tier, but original Bardock keeps him in C. So Bardock, father of Goku, doesn't exist. He's not okay, well, he does now, but, like, in Z, he wasn't a character. He existed in, like, a non-canon movie, and, like, that was it. He never gets brought up in the most he ever gets brought up in the series is Vegeta calls him a brilliant scientist for creating, like, the fake moon technique. And, like, that's it. And, like, when we're first shown Bardock, he's a Saiyan. Through and through. He's just like Vegeta, he's just like Nap, he's just like Raditz. He's violent, cold-blooded, just relishes in killing. He's a murderer. He's a Saiyan. He's a space pirate. He conquers planets and sells them. And he very much acts like the kind of person who would do that. And his, like, heroic moment, air quotes, of, like, standing up to Frieza isn't like, oh, I've had enough of your, you know, being evil and doing all this shit. No, he does it because he finds out that Frieza's gonna kill all the Saiyans, so he does, like, out of self-defense. And I like that characterization for Bardock. I like him just being a piece of shit Saiyan. And it, you know, it makes Goku's goodness, you know, I think much more profound. It shows, you know, that, you know, that's unique, not uniquely Goku's, but, you know, it shows that, I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but I feel like it kind of slightly nullifies part of what makes Goku so interesting and great in the series, if it's like, oh no, but his dad was also, like, the one good Saiyan. And I hate that. I hate that they're doing that to Bardock. And I don't know. And I don't like his design in this artwork they use here. I think his original, like with the older school, like the Z version of the Saiyan armor. That's sick as hell. It's a raw ass design. But yeah, unfortunately, Bardock kind of gets knocked down to C just because of what they keep doing to his character. Thankfully, though, we got our first S tier, Beerus. Oh, Beerus is great. Beerus is... yeah, no, Beerus is the greatest character they've introduced since Z. Head and shoulders. There's no one who comes close. Beerus is great. All the stuff that gets introduced with him alongside Whis, you know, the God of Destruction, the Angels, the fact that he's the biggest like jump in scale in like the entire series, really. And there's like, there's that bullshit interview with Toriyama's like, oh, Super Saiyan God Goku is like a 7 and Beerus is a 10, but Whis is a 15, just like, him pulling numbers out of his ass that people like me took way too seriously. But it opened up, it opened up the future of like new Dragon Ball material, with like, it super exists because of like Beerus, and like, I guess Battle Z as a whole. But it showed just how much more progress Goku and Vegeta could make as fighters and all these new heights they could soar to. And ignoring that, just to the character himself, Beerus is incredible. Beerus is amazing. He's a god of destruction, so it's just his job to, go around destroying shit, as the title would imply. But he's not like some like malevolent, like he's like this. He's very cat-like in it, he like in the plot for Battle of Z, the reason why he shows up and he wasn't introduced before is because he was napping, because he's a fucking cat. That's adorable. I love that. I love silly little shit like that Toriyama does. That the series kind of gets away from the longer it goes, but kind of a return to form with that sort of stuff. And oh god, excuse me. Sorry, I had to clear my throat, fellas. The direction his character goes after the movie, where like him and Whis, like they come to Earth because they're obsessed with the food. I love him. I love Beerus. Beerus is so good. Beerus is great. Shout out Beerus, he might go. Now, for some reason, this tier list includes movie villains. And I'm gonna be real with you guys, I haven't watched a lot of the Dragon Ball movies. Literally the only thing I have to say about BoJack would be like BoJack Horseman jokes. Like, oh, it's Will Arnett. I'm just gonna make a tier for like the movie villains I don't know anything about. Boom. But speaking of movie villains that I do know about, we have Broly. Now it seems that they're using the super version of Broly here. I don't see a Z Broly, which is fine because I wouldn't have a lot to say about Z Broly. I think Super Broly is a vast improvement upon the original character. Not that there was much character to improve upon with Z Broly. I like that they still maintain like the whole legendary super, well, not legendary super Saiyan thing, but Broly is still a raging badass in the movie. And that's the whole thing. People like Broly because he's this big fucking, 0% body fat, muscles the size of a Ford F-150. And he does retain that in the movie. But he's not just the main thing that they fixed was his dumbass backstory of hating Goku because he cried because he was a baby, which there's nothing I can say about that. There's nothing I can add that everyone else has not made fun of a million times. But instead he was, they still keep the thing with, like, King Vegeta trying to get rid of him because way too powerful of a baby. But that baby, way too powerful, you know, right, this happens right when Frieza starts to blow up the planet. But he's able to, you know, rescue them, get them out of there. And so they grow up on this, like, deserted planet, and Broly has to, like, you know, kill these giant rabbit monsters in order for them to feed themselves. And he's just this, like, he's kind of like an extremified version of Goku, because, you know, Goku is technically, like, in the original Japanese dub, Goku and Chi-Chi speak with, like, country hick accents, because that's what they are. They're, like, backwood folk. You know, Goku grew up, like, living in the mountains with Grandpa Gohan. He's a little country boy, and, like, Broly is, like, the most extreme version of that. He's, like, this kid who never interacted with the outside world and grew up on, like, a desolate planet overrun with, like, these giant, terrifying monsters. And I do like that, and, you know, obviously Goku and him will have this moment where it's like, oh, you're strong, you're cool, let's be friends. And they do become friends. Anyways, I don't know. Super Broly's cool. I like him. Up next we got Bulma. Like I said before, with Android 18 and the female Dragon Ball characters. Bulma, when she's introduced, is cool and interesting, and then she gets sidelined. Although it takes a very long time for Bulma to get sidelined. I mean, she really gets sidelined by the time Z rolls around. Poor Bulma. Just the Namek saga really doesn't help her character a lot because she has no reason to be there. Toriyama wanted it to be like the original series, like, oh, it's Krillin and Bulma, and not Goku but Gohan, and they're going on this cool adventure. But Bulma has zero fucking purpose being on Namek. I mean, by the time they get to that point in the series, what the fuck is Bulma gonna do? She's just a woman, and they're going to space to fight, you know, space Napoleon Hitler. But I mean, and like I said, with Android 18, Bulma sticks around. She's like a core character. She doesn't get I mean, shit, Launch ain't even on this fucking, they put Pan on here. They did not put Launch on this tier list, and there's a reason for that. Shout out Launch. But, I don't know, Bulma, she goes in A tier. She's iconic. And she's still, like, useful to the plot. She isn't just, you know, she's not just, you know, scene dressing. I mean, there's the whole fucking, sometimes they make her do stupid shit, like with Dragon Ball Superhero, where she summons the Dragon Balls to get a fucking BBL. Like, that's, like, okay, whatever. But, I mean, and I do realize that she kind of falls into that whole trope of, like, just technically science fiction, like, female lead characters, where it's like, oh, she's here because her dad's a genius scientist. I mean, she is as well, but, you know, I just realized she kind of falls into that silly little trope. But yeah, shout out Bulma. She bagged Vegeta, which, you know, no one else can say. Shout out Vegeta, my goat. We'll get to him at, like, the end of the tier list. Fucking Birder, I mean, he was my favorite Ginyu when I was a kid because he's blue. Up next we got Boo. Boo's great. Put him right above Broly. I guess we'll specifically just talk about Majin Buu. I don't think Super Kid Buu are on here. I could lump them all together, but I don't feel like talking that much. Fucking Majin Buu's great. I love that as the, you know, final antagonist of Z. I love how, like, childlike and whimsical he is, you know, because first we have the Saiyans, who are these menacing, bloodthirsty, you know, space pirates. They're Saiyans. And then we have Frieza, space Napoleon Hitler, this, you know, maniacal, tyrannical dictator of, like, the entire galaxy, who just revels in murdering people and is this sadistic monster. And then we have Cell, who is like the embodiment of all of Goku's past fused into one. And he's very similar to Frieza personality-wise, although he does have like that Saiyan biology of just loving to fight. I mean, the whole Cell games is like his grandiose nature, incredible. And then we have Majin Buu, who is this big, fat, pink monster man who speaks like a child and, you know, turns people into candy and other sweets that he can eat. And he's just this, like, uncontrollable, like, chaotic force. And, you know, because of that, like, that childlike whimsy and all that stuff, he does end up being redeemed, you know? Mr. Satan is like, hey, Boo, be cool. You ain't gotta do all this stuff. And then he does become cool. But I love that, you know, and, like, he fucking whoops everyone's ass. Like, no one stands a chance against Majin Buu when he shows up. Even when Goku pulls up with his brand new brand new level of Super Saiyan, he doesn't even win that fight. Like, yeah, he whoops his ass, but he doesn't even do anything. And, like, the fight with Majin Buu, you know, brings us the best Vegeta moment with the final explosion. Which slightly gets undercut because, Buu survives. But, you know, he's, like, the only antagonist who doesn't get beaten by, like, fighting him. He gets redeemed. Like, he gets brought to the good side. And then Mr. Satan's dog gets killed. And then, or Boo's dog gets killed. And then all of his evilness comes out as Evil Boo. And then we get Super Boo. Who's less interesting. But, you know, and then that involves the Kid Buu, who's, like, just literally, like, the embodiment of, like, chaotic evil, just wanting destruction. No, like, you know, the second Kid Buu pulls up, he just blows up the earth. He does not hesitate, which is awesome, which is sick. But I love Majin Buu. You know, he sticks around afterward. He's, you know, I guess he's technically, I don't know if he's a Z fighter. Is Buu considered a Z fighter? I don't think he is. But he's, like, along, like, that tier of character. But I like Buu. He's cool. His voice can be slightly annoying, but, I mean, other characters create greater sins than having a grating voice. Before we move on, I'm gonna have to, hold on a second. Let me just, alright, what's her face from Broly's little green girlfriend? I don't remember her name. I don't really have much to say about her, actually. I only watched Dragon Ball Broly once, and I was more focused on the, you know, the combat, the fight scenes. I don't know. Like I said, she's like Broly's little green girlfriend. I don't remember much about her character. I don't have much to say. Chi-Chi goes and beats here right below Android 16. So, because of the English dub, Chi-Chi is not a very popular character. And that's because, and well, also just because of the nature of her character. You know, she's, especially in Z, because in original Dragon Ball, she shows up, you know, Goku meets her, she has a little crush on him, she's like, oh, let's get married, and Goku, being the little doofus he is, thinks marriage is food, and agrees, and they meet years later at the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament, I think it's the 22nd, they have their little air quotes fight, and then it's like, oh, do you remember the marriage? I don't know, it's cute, it's adorable, and they get married, and then Z, and then they have Gohan, and then that's when it becomes an issue, because she's a mother, she has a child, and by the nature of the genre of Dragon Ball, Gohan has to fight shit. Also because of who his dad is. And like any mother, Chi-Chi hates that. She does not want her, like, 5-year-old, 10-year-old son to, off potentially fucking dying fighting villains to save the world. And, so when time comes and Goku's like, hey, Chi-Chi, I'm bringing Gohan with me to train so he can fight insert, threat to the world or galaxy. And she's all like, no, you're not. What the fuck are you talking about? We as the audience, we want to see our characters, get stronger, and we want to see them fight the villains and save the world. Yip yip hooray. But that's an inherently dangerous thing, and she doesn't want her fucking child enduring that. And so she's like, no, don't do this. And so, the English dub doesn't do her any favors in this, and so a lot of people feel like, oh, Chi-Chi's a bitch, I don't like her, yada, why don't you just let Gohan risk his life? That stuff is ridiculous. That's a perfectly reasonable response out of Chi-Chi. Although, the one thing I will complain about her is that Chi-Chi stops being a fighter. I don't like that. Like, okay, whatever, fucking Toriyama wants her to be a mother. Sure, fine, I don't give a shit. But, like, fighting was, like, what brought her and Goku together. And the second she pops out a baby, she just drops that entirely. I'm like, whoa, that's lame. It's a shonen, everyone's a fighter. Why are the women not fighters? I mean, we still have 18. She's still cool, badass, strong female character, so we got that going. But Chi-Chi, why did she stop, huh? What's going on there? Come on, Toriyama. But yeah, Chi-Chi, she's alright. Chaozu, man. Chaozu doesn't do anything, bro. After Chaozu kills himself fighting Nappa, he does not do shit. Now that's can be applied to a lot of the cast, but it's especially true for Chaozu, and also because, like, he doesn't really do a whole lot before that. I mean, like, he's part of, like, the arc with, like, Tien and, like, General, what am I talking about? Assassin Pao. But, like, he has this little moment in Dragon Ball, like, this weird little psychic Chinese vampire child man, and then after that arc, he doesn't really do anything, and he's not even the focus on that arc. Tien is, and after that, Chaozu does nothing. Chaozu, I mean, really, that's all there is to say. Chaozu does fucking nothing, bro. This character, he does nothing, dude. He blows himself up and dies, and that's it. Yeah, Chaozu, I don't know. We'll put him, actually, Chaozu goes in D tier, man. Fuck Chaozu. I have never met a Chaozu fan in my life, and I never will, because they don't exist. Cooler. Lamer version of Frieza with a cooler design. B tier. I mean, the trope, the idea of cooler is kind of stupid. Oh, your most iconic and, impactful villain at this point in the series. Oh, for a movie, we'll reveal that he had an evil secret brother. It's stupid. It's dumb. I mean, every Dragon Ball movie villain is a ripoff of a villain from the main series. Cooler is the fucking Frieza ripoff. But I don't know. Listen, man. That final form, that extra form, that, like, 5th form Cooler has, dude, it carries so much weight. It's so sick. Super Shredder, it's so fucking cool. But yeah, no, he's just, he's a not interesting version of Frieza. And I'm going to choose to ignore Metal Cooler, because the less we talk about that, the better. Dende, Little Green, yeah, we'll put Dende. I'll put him right above Cooler. He exists. He's so in the Namek Saga, he's there to, like, work the Namekian Dragon Balls for Gohan and Krillin. because, you know, you gotta speak Namekian to summon Purunga. And he's also, like, the group's, like, little, like, white mage, you know, he heals them when they get hurt. And there is that cool moment where Vegeta realizes he's outclassed, so he intentionally injures himself, walks up to Dende, and is like, hey, heal me so I can get the Zenkai boost. But then, you know, Frieza murks his ass. And then later on, whenever Piccolo and Nail fuse, they need a new Guardian of Earth, and so they bring back Dende. And like, yeah, whatever. I mean, he's Dende, he's cool. I mean, I can't remember much about Dende's character that isn't, you know, me misremembering the Dragon Ball Z abridged version of him. But yeah, shout out Dende, shout out Little Green. He's alright. Dodoria, fucking, well, whatever. Gets jobbed by Vegeta. So anything that makes Vegeta look cool, that's alright. Design's a little, whatever, it's kind of out there. Although they are very intimidating and menacing, you know, they're one of Frieza's main... Frieza's, like, left-hand man, besides, like, the Ginyu Force. I don't know. Yeah, Dodoria doesn't do much. Shows up, kills some Namekians, looks powerful and menacing, and then Vegeta pulls up and, you know, kills him. But yeah, Dodoria, they're alright. Dr. Gero, I really like Dr. Well, I wouldn't say I really like Dr. Gero. No, he's not an A-tier. He is not an A-tier character. Fuck am I thinking? I feel like Dr. Gero could have really worked. I hate that... Okay, so eventually the editor's, you know, interference, constantly telling Toriyama to change his character, to change the villain. It did eventually lead us to the perfect character. So there's that. But I feel like Dr. Gero had potential. I feel like he could have worked. You know, like the last surviving member of the Red Ribbon Army, which Goku annihilated when he was a kid. Who's, like, you know, watched him ever since, and, you know, has constructed robots, himself included, to, like, you know, get revenge. And, you know, that could have been an interesting character. It could have been Goku's past coming back to haunt him. Shit, I mean, it's implied, before we know about Android 17 and 18, it's implied that these two are the ones who fucking killed Goku and everybody else. So when you show up, I mean, yeah, they look a little goofy. Android 20s look pretty fucking goofy. I'm sorry, 19 looks goofy. Dr. Gero's Android 20. You know, before we even know about him, it's like, oh, these guys are a big fucking deal. These guys are Bad News Bears. And then it's revealed, no, they're not actually. It's 17 and 18 who are Bad News Bears. But they're not even the problem because Cell. Yeah, I don't know. His character doesn't have a chance to go anywhere because editors. But I feel like he really could have worked. Also, I think his design's alright. I think he looks kind of cool. I like the little old man design. Frieza's an S tier. He has to be the most iconic Dragon Ball villain. I mean, they're constantly looking for excuses to bring him back. I mean, he got his own movie with Resurrection F. And the whole point of that was that they brought him back, and then he's, you know, an integral part of the Tournament of Power. And then, I haven't caught up on the Super manga. I don't know if any updates or progress has been made. But then, you know, after the Granola arc, Frieza shows up with another new form and just jobs Goku and Vegeta. And I don't know, with the way things are going, it's kind of looking like Frieza might be the final villain of Super. Potentially, who knows? I just, you know, Frieza's great. He is very imposing. He takes command of every scene he's in. He has this very high and mighty, like, pompous, you know, arrogance to him that's amazing. And I mean, like, he's also one of the most important characters, you know, with him, you know, being the one to destroy Planet Vegeta, which technically sets the whole course of the entire plot in motion. So no Frieza, no Dragon Ball. But I mean, it's Frieza. I don't need to tell you why Frieza's sick. You know Frieza's sick. I couldn't tell you a single thing about her character. I kind of skipped the Goku Black arc. Trunks. Okay, so I don't. I'm trying to figure out which version of Trunks this is supposed to be. There's like Future Trunks and then there's like Dragon Ball Super Future Trunks. Now, if we are referring to the individual known as the Drink, S tier. Dragon Ball Super Future Trunks is a lot lamer, and the blue hair makes me want to think we'd do that. But we're gonna talk about the Drink. All right, fellas call me the Drink. Future Trunks, Z Future Trunks, was like my favorite character. Was one of my favorite characters when I was a kid. There was a point in time where Trunks was my favorite character. I mean, he got the purple hair. Looks like the fucking bowl cut purple hair. Should be stupid, but it's not. He pulls that shit off. He's got a sword. Why the fuck do you need a sword? You can shoot ki blasts that can destroy planets, but he got a sword. He used that, and it's sick as fuck. His outfit, if you described it, sounds stupid as hell, but he got that shit on. He's the second ever Super Saiyan ever revealed. Like, you know, Goku shows up, Frieza Saga, he fulfills this, like, 1,000-year-long alien prophecy, defeats the fucking God Emperor of the galaxy, and then later we find out he didn't die, and he comes back, and then this dude, and then it's like, oh, Frieza also didn't die, and then this kid shows up, and he's like, oh, I'll kick your ass, and then he goes Super Saiyan, kicks Frieza's ass, and then shows up and is like, hey, I'm from the future, take this medicine, there are gonna be some androids who show up and kill everybody, and then he dips, and he just, so sick, so fucking badass in his first appearance, and then, you know, he comes back, finds Android 19 and 20, he's like, these aren't the androids, and he sticks around for the Cell Saga, helps clean up the mess that he technically created by opening up the whole jar of worms that is time travel, and while he's in and when he goes into the hyperbolic time chamber with his father, oh, and also it's like, oh, I'm from the future, and by the way, Vegeta's my dad, and Bulma's my mom, oh my god, it's incredible, and then fucking, in the hyperbolic time chamber, he unlocks, I forget what it's called, like, what, Super Saiyan Grade 3, I think is what it is, Grade 4, maybe? Because I think Super Vegeta is technically Grade 3. Because the Mastered State that Gohan and Goku earn, that's Super Saiyan 1 Grade 5. Because there are too many names and labels for this bullshit. But he unlocked, like, it's like, oh, it's revealed that he also, because, like, Vegeta shows up super strong, Super Vegeta, and then Trunks is like, actually, I have a secret form I discovered, and it's this, like, semi-Broly, like, big, huge, roided up state, and at first, you know, he starts whooping Cell's ass, and you're all like, he starts whooping Perfect Cell's ass, and you're all like, what the fuck? What's going on? And then it's like, oh, no, actually, the whatever, for as strong as you get, it slows you down that much as well, and then, it turns out he kind of, form sucks, and then he kind of, I mean, that's like kind of the last thing he does, as a character before, you know, dying, but oh my god, Z Trunks is great, and he's also like, this child who has looked up and idolized the Z Fighters, and he's like, you know, trying so hard to be just like them. It's great. I love it. Z Trunks, one of my goats. Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu's alright. I mean, he's kind of like a side note for, like, I mean, when you compare him to, like, Frieza, who, like, the main antagonist of the arc. But, I mean, he's cool. His ability to swap forms, his swap bodies is pretty interesting. and, you know, his little technique of gravely injuring himself and then swapping with Goku. Clever, neat. I like that, but I mean, I don't know. No one really talks about Ginyu. If you're talking about a villain from the Namek saga, you're talking about Frieza, because he's fucking Frieza. But I don't know, yeah, that's Ginyu. That purple, shout out my Urple boys. Goku Black. Goku Black should not work as a character. Oh, evil Goku? Yeah, sure, whatever. But it does. It does work. Evil Goku Black works. The naming, excuse me, a little weird, and I mean, it does lead to that funny as shit moment in the English dub, where Trunks says, "Hold your fire, this man's not black." No way they didn't do that shit on purpose. But, you know, the idea of, like, oh, evil Goku from a different timeline, it shouldn't work, but it does. He's sick, he's awesome, he's menacing, he's badass. I'll put him above 17, but he ain't going above Broly. Yeah, no. Super Saiyan Rose is a little stupid. I mean, I don't know why he couldn't also just be blue. Well, I mean, it makes him pop out, but I don't know, whatever. Goku, it's Goku. I don't need to talk to you why Goku's the GOAT. Goten? Fucking... Dude, the only good thing Goten does is fuse with Trunks and become a cool character. And there are no fusions on this. Wow, Gotenks isn't even on this tier list. Okay, well, yeah, Goten's only contribution to the series is fusing to make Gotenks. He's literally just, I don't know. Fuck Goten. Fuck them kids. Goldo? Brother, get the fuck out of here. Goldo? He can freeze time. That's cool. Shut the fuck up. My GOAT, Satan? Fucking Hercule, Mr. Satan, whatever. When I was a kid, I hated this character because, oh, he's dumb, he's stupid, he's the weak little human. Why is he here? As an adult, I have matured, and I can very, very greatly appreciate Mr. Satan's character. He is the best. He is amazing. Shout out Mr. Satan. He's a, hold on. Give me a second, I'm blanking. So with Mr. Satan, you know, he gets introduced, oh, he's this World Martial Arts Tournament winner, which has been a big deal in the past. And then you find out, like, no, he's just a human, and he's not like a human on the same tier as, like, a Krillin, or a Yamcha, or a Tien. He's kind of just a person. A very strong person, but just a person. And he has this fucking grandiose showmanship, you know. Oh, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna destroy you, Cell. And then the second he realizes what's actually going on, when he realizes how in over his head he is, he freaks the fuck out. You know, it's not fair to call him cowardly, because anyone would freak out in his shoes. But despite that, you know, he's the one to get, you know, close enough to Cell to throw 16's head at him, which, you know, leads to Peak. I mean, he's the one who fucking... the Buu Saga, I mean, he's pretty much saves the world twice. I mean, first he's the one who, like, you know, brings Buu to the good side. And then after, you know, Kid Buu blows up the Earth, when Goku grabs him, of all fucking people, and brings him to this realm of the Supreme Kais, you know, he's the one who speaks to Earth and is like, hey, yo, it's your boy, Mr. Satan. Give my boy Goku some energy so he can save the universe. And then all of humanity jumps in because the world collectively recognizes him as their GOAT. And you know what? He's my GOAT because of that too. But yeah, Mr. Satan, he's incredible. I love him. Hirudegarn. Listen, if you've watched any of the Pokemon tier list videos, which you should. In fact, you should you should rewatch all of them right now. I'll wait. Okay, so you know that I love Godzilla. Anything Godzilla related, I love it. Haruto-kun is just Goku versus Godzilla, and it's great. It's a big cicada Godzilla. I don't know if I'll ever make one, but if I ever do make a bug tier list, spoiler alert, cicadas are firmly number 2. Beetles are number 1, by the way. But big old cicada Godzilla, I'll put him at the top of B tier because he's not a character. He doesn't have a character. He's just big monster man. And he's a movie villain, so it's like, but hey, big monster man, and he's Godzilla. Come on, bro. Come on. Jacko, whatever. I literally couldn't tell you a single thing about Jacko. Jacko, more like Jack off. Up top. Janemba. So Janemba is, like I said, all movie villains are a ripoff of a villain from the main series. Janemba being a ripoff of Boo. Now, I think Super Janemba is a really sick design, and he has a really cool power set, you know, like his little teleportation stuff, you know, the materializing, like the fucking, like touching things, and his being like a being of pure evil, like, you know, he touches them and he corrupts them into these fucking weapons. That's cool, that's sick. But he's Cell. No, I'm sorry, he's not Cell. He's Boo, but less interesting, because, you know, Super Janemba, but then there's Fat Janemba, which is just Majin Buu, but less interesting. But I tell you what, man, that design goes fucking crazy. Top of C tier. Jace, funny Australian accent, I guess. Jiren, oh my god. Oh, Jiren is like everything that you can't do wrong with a Dragon Ball villain. Most importantly, he's boring. Jiren is so fucking boring. Everything about the character is his design, boring. This fucking Area 51 bald-headed alien with fucking built like Superman, boring as shit. His backstory, boring as shit. Oh, this evil dude killed my family, and now I'm gonna get strong to avenge him, to kill him. Boring. Sorry, it makes me fucking physically ill thinking about Jiren for too long. His personality, I would call it boring if it fucking existed. He doesn't. Jiren's the worst. I fucking hate Jiren. Kid Trunks. He goes in the bottom of C tier. It's the same thing with Goten. His crowning achievement is being one half of Gotenks. But like, I don't know. He's not as annoying or pointless as Goten, in my opinion. But yeah, it's Kid Trunks. Whatever. King Cold. You want to talk about characters that aren't characters? This dude, I mean, he just shows up next to Frieza. He's like a red herring. You're supposed to think that, you know, Mecha Frieza is gonna be the villain, only for, you know, Trunks to show up and fucking job him. And, you know, King Cold's like, I don't know, he's just Frieza but tall. You know, he exists to like make you think like, oh god, a second Frieza, and then Trunks is like, no, 0 Friezas, actually. Actually, no Friezas. I don't know, he's just, there's not a lot to say about King Cold. I don't know, he's got a cool design though. C tier. King Kai, shout out King Kai. Top of A tier, I love his voice. A little voice Sean Schimmel does for him. I love his design. I love that he's like a little blue catfish man. I don't know. I like King Kai. I love him. I have a Funko Pop of King Kai actually. And before you sit there and judge me for owning Funko Pops, I only own like 3. One of them being King Kai. And the reason why I have it is because it came with a mini version of his monkey Bubbles, and that's the reason why he's an A tier. He has a little pet monkey. His name is Bubbles. Come on, man. How can you have a pet monkey named Bubbles and be anything but A tier? But yeah, King Kai, A tier. Shout out to him. He teaches Goku the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. Hell yeah. Krillin. It's Kriller time, baby. Krillin, I will put in it. No, Krillin goes in the top of A tier. One of the most important characters in the series. Shit. Krillin is at, like, Area 0 for every significant event in, like, the series. Like, more so than Goku. Because, you know, Goku is sidelined, especially in, or for Z at least. Goku is, like, sidelined for, like, 80% of the plot because he has to be, because he's Goku, he's too strong. If he's not sidelined, he's gonna fix things too quickly. And so Krillin's usually, like, the one, you know, on the cutting edge. Krillin kind of falls into, like, a similar category as Hercule, where, because technically Krillin is the strongest human. Krillin is the strongest human, period. But unfortunately, that doesn't mean much, because if you ain't an alien, you kind of don't matter power-wise. And so Krillin gets outclassed. And basically, by the time the Saiyans show up, Krillin isn't really able to do too much of anything. But he's always there. He's kind of like the courageous coward kind of thing, or like the courageous weakling. Because, like, you know, Krillin is constantly in over his head, but that doesn't stop him. And shout out to him, he's my GOAT for that. Even if he is just, you know, showing up to get jobbed 90% of the time. Oh, and you know, I just remembered Krillin becomes a cop. Oh. Moving him down to B tier. Nah, no pigs in A tier, buddy. This guy, I don't know his name. Nappa. It's hard to talk about Nappa without mentioning Dragon Ball Z abridged Nappa, but I'll try not to. Original series, Nappa is an effective villain. Shit, he kills all but, like, 2 of the Z fighters. And he's not even the strong one. Like, he shows up, and they're like, oh, here are these little green monster men. You know that dude that your strongest friend had to sacrifice himself, had to team up with his arch nemesis to beat, and they could only beat him when he sacrificed himself? We can grow little monsters just as strong as him, and they're kind of a joke compared to us. And then when they beat the Cybermen, it's like, okay, now I'll fight you. And then he fucking mollywops everybody, you know? Chaozu tries to blow himself up to beat him, doesn't do shit. Yamcha tries to beat him up, doesn't do shit, just gets his hand chopped off and killed. And, you know, Piccolo, even if he could potentially stand a chance against him, has to sacrifice himself before he kills Gohan. And, you know, Nappa ain't even out of the count. You know, he's a little battle-scarred, but it ain't slowing him down none, and it's already down to just fucking Gohan and Krillin. It's like, oh, they're over. And then Vegeta's there and it's like, yeah, no, and the strong one hasn't even fucking lifted a finger. Only then for Goku to show up and drop him. Which is, you know, goes to show how powerful Goku is. But, you know, Nappa, and that's all he ever does. But he does show up and he's terrifying and he kills people. And, you know, you definitely feel his impact. But yeah, no, Nappa, he's effective. He's terrifying at his point in the series. Next we have Pan. Now this is showing GT version of Pan, so I'm going to be talking about GT version of Pan. Eat shit and die. Oh god, she's so fucking annoying. She's like, it's weird how she simultaneously is like, oh, I want to be a fighter like Grandpa Goku, but is also just like a fucking useless little brat, and she doesn't do anything. And GT sucks and ruins her character. I hate GT. GT's so bad, man. Piccolo, my goat, my jolly green goat. Piccolo's the fucking best. He was Vegeta before there was Vegeta. You know, he was the first, like, you know, nemesis for Goku. Well, no, fucking Tien was the first, like, Yamcha was technically the first. Anyways, but, you know, he exists in this role. He basically exists in the same role Vegeta does before Vegeta. And he has, like, that arc Vegeta has first of, you know, being this villain who turned into a good guy. And, you know, and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, Piccolo Jr.'s fight with Goku is incredible. It's amazing. I love that Piccolo is, like, the tactician of the group. Like, he's constantly shown. Because everyone, you know, Goku's whole thing is that he's just real good at fighting and all. But, like, Piccolo is the one who, like, comes up with, like, the plans and the ideas. Because, like, Gohan's smart, but he's not a tactician. Piccolo is a tactician. And, you know, like, his intelligence and all that stuff, like, is, even in, like, the Cell, or in the Buu Saga, where he's, like, not gonna do all that much. Like, part of, like, the thing is, like, after, Super Buu absorbs Piccolo, he becomes a better, smarter fighter. And, you know, that's ultimately, you know, that, and then Gotenks getting absorbed is what ends up beating Gohan. God, yeah, Piccolo's my goat. I mean, he got his new form in Superhero, Orange Piccolo, where he just, you know, starts mewing and he gets, like, 20 fucking million feet taller. Anyways, Piccolo's my goat. I love Piccolo. It's him or Vegeta for my second favorite character. And I think I'm leaning towards Piccolo, honestly. Also, Aura Farmer to the max. And every single time it works. Always has the fucking sickest intros. But Raditz. So Raditz, he shows up, fights Goku and Piccolo, and then dies. But it's not that what makes Raditz interesting and a cool in character. It's the fact that he's the one who shows up and is like, hey, I'm your brother. Dun 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 dun. And also, we're space aliens who conquer planets. And you were sent to Earth to conquer Earth, and you failed. So, you better start conquering Earth before I do it for you. And, you know, it's... Because in the manga, there is no distinction between, like, in the anime of, like, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It just keeps going. So, like, in the manga, like, when the anime, you know, it's like, oh, you know this is going to be a change in, like, the series, because, like, okay, well, now it's, like, a new anime, now it's Dragon Ball Z, it's different, they add a little subtitle to it. But in the manga, no, he just shows up and is like, hey, here's, like, the most earth-shattering information possible for you. And that's, it's incredible. I mean, the series goes in a completely different direction after Raditz shows up. Now, Raditz isn't there long, he's only there for, like, 2-3 chapters, and he dies at the end. You know, well, I mean, he's the reason Goku dies. I don't know, Raditz, his character himself, not much of a character, but the impact, he's more of like a plot point. He's more of a plot tool. But he's such an important and impactful one. You know, let's see, it's here. Recoome? Okay, so... Recoome had a kind of... I don't want to say problematic, but a kind of problematic voice in the dub, where he basically just kind of talked like, you know, maybe he had a learning disability. I don't know, it's weird. Christopher Sabat doesn't do it anymore, thankfully. But like, I don't know, his whole thing is that he's just like big, dumb, strong meathead. I don't know. I'll put him above Jace, because, I mean, he's the one who, like, because, like, you know, Golda doesn't do anything, Vegeta just kills him. Jason Bird don't really do much, and then Raccoon's the one who fucking mollywops Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan. So he's kind of like Nappa, but less imposing or cool. I mean, it's kind of like the exact same thing, you know. You know he's not even the strongest one, and then he mops the floor with our cast, and then Goku shows up and fucking annihilates him. But yeah, I don't know. He's a repeat of Nappa with an originally problematic voice. Master Roshi, easy A tier, right up there with King Kai. I'll put him right below King Kai. The first of many masters Goku would have. I mean, he created the Kamehameha, which is like up there with like Super Saiyan for being like the most iconic thing to come out of the series. Shit, I mean, everyone, like every other like anime pro tag, if they have like a signature move, it's like people just call it like their version of the Kamehameha. Like, oh, Krillin, what the fuck am I talking about? Oh, Naruto, he has the Rasengan, and that's just his Kamehameha. I think it's, oh god, what's it called in Bleach? Tetsuga? I need to rewatch Bleach. No, I don't. What am I talking about? But, you know, he fucking shows up, he creates the Kamehameha, he trains Gohan, he trains Goku and Krillin, and, you know, in Dragon Ball, he's like a very, he's there for a lot of it, and, you know, there's stuff with, like, the rivalry with the Crane School, and, you know, the incredible fight he has with Goku as Jackie Chan, you know, just to remind Goku that there's always another level to achieve in martial arts, and then by the time Z rolls around, he just kind of becomes a comedy relief character who's just kind of there in the background. Now because every anime must have one for some reason, he is like the perverted old man, which, you know, can get a little ugh at times, but whatever, I'm willing to look past it. And also in the Super manga, he has a few panels where he's like going toe-to-toe with Jiren, which is fucking wild. But yeah, no, Master Roshi's fucking great. Shout out my boy Roshi. Lord Slug. Wow, Lord Slug, but no King Piccolo. Okay, well, I guess there aren't any Dragon Ball characters. Yeah, ZGT Super. Yeah, he's just King Piccolo, but again, and less interesting. Gohan. So, Gohan is a mixed bag. He very much feels like a character where, like, Toriyama doesn't know what he wants to do with him a lot of the time. Because when he's first introduced, we get a glimpse of, like, okay, Gohan has, like, serious potential. Like, you know, he has those moments where he loses control and he gets angry, and, like, for a brief second, he becomes the most powerful. Well, maybe not the most powerful, but he becomes absurdly powerful. And eventually that keeps being built upon until it climaxes with him achieving Super Saiyan 2 and defeating Perfect Cell. Which, you know, as I mentioned before, one of the greatest moments in the entire series. Shit, I still can't, like, watch that Super Saiyan 2 transformation without, you know, getting a little tight in the throat and a little watery-eyed. It's so incredible. Unfortunately, that's where Gohan peaks as a character. Because immediately after that, he has his Great Saiyaman bit, which I thought was stupid and dumb as a kid, and I now think is amazing and incredible. But, like, you know, he doesn't really train as much, which is, I mean, there's nothing really there to push him, you know, in that period between Cell and Boo. he just starts taking his studying seriously. He starts moving away from the life of a fighter, which he never wanted. But that's fine. But it's just everything about like the Cell Saga, it makes it seem like Gohan's being pushed as the new protagonist of the series, just for Goku to show back up and take the spotlight. But even in the Buu Saga, like Gohan is shown to technically be the most powerful, because Goku pulls up with Super Saiyan 3, but then Gohan, does the training with the Elder Kai and gets his potential unlocked, or Mystic Gohan, and he's the most powerful. He's the most powerful character. The only characters more powerful than Mystic Gohan are Super Buu, after he absorbs Gotenks and Gohan himself, and Super Vegito. That's it. Super Gohan, Mystic Gohan, it's this is Gohan at his potential, max potential. This is what Gohan could look like if he took training seriously and dedicated himself as a fighter. Just to get jobs, just to lose and die, And it's why, Toriyama, why do you do this to him? You have this character you could do so much with, and you're just no, I don't want to go, and he just keeps sabotaging his own character. Now, unfortunately, I have not watched Superhero yet, so, but I know Gohan Blanco is canon, but yeah, Gohan, he has the highest high of any character in the series, and that's it. I don't know. I want so much more from my boy, but I'm putting him below Bulma. He can't go above Bulma, not in his current state. Tien, no. So, Tien, speaking of sabotaged characters, so, I don't get what it is. I don't get why Japan and Toriyama hate Tien, but they do. They despise this man. Because, like I said, Krillin is, repeatedly stated to canonically be the most powerful human. Which is stupid, which makes no sense. Tien should be, because he's, the only Z fighter besides Goku. No. Goku also, during Super, he kind of, stops training as much because he starts being a family man, He becomes a farmer. He starts, he stops slacking off on being a father and, a husband. And so he's not fighting as much. Same thing with Vegeta. Tien is the only character who never stops taking his role and duties as a fighter seriously. I mean, he opens up his own dojo. His entire living becomes fighting and martial arts. And, he's still, relative to the rest of the cast, this weak jobber who can't accomplish anything. And, why he should be so much more. Why he, dedicates himself to this life fully, and he gets nothing out of it. Because Toriyama doesn't like him. And, Tien is so cool in Dragon Ball and, really early Z. I mean, shit, Tien still has, Tien still has, a last hurrah in the Cell Saga. Which, by that point, Krillin doesn't actually do anything cool in the Cell Saga. Yamcha does not do anything in the Cell Saga. But Tien fucking holds off Semi-Perfect Cell for, I think, 4 hours? I think is what it is, canonically. I think he fucking uses the Kikoho, and holds off Imperfect Cell for 4 hours. My goat. My fucking goat. Willing to, sacrifice himself, to do that. And if Goku doesn't know how to teleport, then it would have just killed him. But then after that, he gets nothing. He doesn't get anything after that. And it's I don't know. They could be doing so much more with Tien. Because clearly he's a man who martial arts means everything to. Just like with Goku and Vegeta. but Goku and Vegeta get to, you know, be the main characters and, you know, fucking be the coolest, biggest badasses in the universe, and Tien gets nothing. He becomes a joke character. Like, he just gets jobbed endlessly. I just, and plus, you know, there are all those sick, badass edits of what if Tien got left in the hyperbolic time chamber for 1 duodecillion years. Those are incredible. Those are amazing. Turles, the first evil Goku, I don't know, man. He's a movie villain. They all kind of suck and they're stupid. Why does he only take 1 bite of the fruit of the Tree of Might? Why doesn't he eat the whole fruit? I don't know. I don't have much to say about Turles. Vegeta, like I said, he's top 3. Right there with Piccolo. I mean, and like the main thing with him is that he has a character arc. Not a lot of other characters in the series do, but Vegeta changes so radically and fundamentally throughout the series. You know, he starts off Prince of the Saiyans, evil, I'm gonna blow up the planet, yada yada yada, to begrudgingly working with people, you know, the people he tried to kill like months before, to, you know, not so begrudgingly working with them, to, you know, kind of becoming a decent guy, but then, you know, giving back into his evil side at, you know, the thought of being able to have a full all-out fight with Goku again, and to finally surpass him. And then he has the ultimate redemption in the final explosion. And I mean, he has that fucking moment in the final flash. Oh my god, Vegeta's my goat. I've said that about like basically every character in B tier and above. But Vegeta is great. Funnily enough, I mean, he's Toriyama's least favorite character. Which is weird, since, you know, he's like, especially in Super, really just becomes the Goku and Vegeta show. Like, every character not named Goku or Vegeta, or Beerus or Whis, just completely becomes sidelined. Yeah, no, Vegeta's great. Shout out my short king. Videl. So, like I said many times before, Toriyama will write a cool, interesting female character, and then they get sidelined and they don't do anything. Videl is also a victim of this. And here's my thing with Videl. Here's the thing that pisses me off with Videl. Of every character, Videl should not have stopped being a fighter. I mentioned it with Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi should not have stopped being a fighter. She did, whatever, I can look past it. Videl, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can see Gohan not wanting to be a fighter because he never wanted to be. He wants to be the family man. That's okay. But Videl's whole thing, like just as much as like with Chi-Chi, fighting is her thing. She is the daughter of Mark Hercule Satan, the savior of the universe. The dude who defeated Perfect Cell, and the dude who convinced the Earth to give their power to Goku to destroy Kid Buu. That's important to her, and she wants to uphold her father's legacy, and she wants to be an incredible fighter as well, who wants to save the world. And that's what she does, you know, she fights crime in the city, and eventually she teams up with Gohan and becomes the Great Saiyan woman. And she, you know, is a human, so ultimately she can't really do all that much, but she still tries. And then Gohan puts a kid in her, and then she becomes housewife. And it's, why, Toriyama, why do you do this? Why did you have to massacre her like that? But, you know, I'm going to choose to ignore, I will choose to view Videl as a character who, I'm not going to rank GT or Super Videl, I'm going to rank Z Videl. And Z Videl goes right above Bulma. I love Videl. I think she's a great character. I love the humans who still try their earnest in spite of the fact that they are woefully outclassed and will never be able to, you know, stand up to, like, you know, the actual villains. I love that. It's a great trope. And I think, you know, Videl, probably up there with her father, embodies that trope the best. And then Toriyama's like, no, the woman must be the homemaker. Even though it should be boy wife Gohan and, you know, Videl out there fighting, kicking ass. But whatever, Toriyama. Whis is great. Whis is awesome. We'll put him. I'm gonna put Whis right. See, I don't really have strong opinions on. I don't have that strong of an opinion on Whis. I'll put him above, right below Broly. I'll put him right below Broly. I do love that. Yeah, he becomes the new trainer for Goku and Krillin. What the fuck am I talking about? Goku and Vegeta. I haven't been recording too long. He becomes their latest master, but like in the manga, they start to like diverge paths, and you know, Goku starts to train with Whis more exclusively, you know, with Ultra Instinct and the fact that angels kind of exist in that state permanently, and then Vegeta starts to follow the path of Beerus, you know, kind of setting him up to potentially be the next God of Destruction. If that'll happen, I don't know, probably not. But I love his like cool, calm, collected manner, even though that he's technically, like, usually the most powerful character in every scene he's in. Like, the only time Whis is not the most powerful is like, I guess it's scenes where like he's with like the El Grande Padre, whatever his actual name is, the fucking like grand leader of the angels, and like I guess with Zeno, but like, you know, it never at no point does Whis' existence, you know, remove the stakes, because he doesn't get involved just by nature of him having to be an angel and, like, you know, being attached to the hip of the God of Destruction, and the Gods of Destruction not being allowed to get involved too much. Yeah, he is there to fix things when things go haywire, but he can never just fix problems for the cast, and I like that. I like the super powerful character who does not, you know, remove all stakes just from their existence. Yeah, Whis is cool. Whis is sick. Yamcha. Shout out Yamcha. Right above Krillin. I mean, same thing. Human who tries, even though he knows he's not gonna be able to do anything. Although he gets relegated very fucking quickly. I mean, Saiyan Saga, he literally shows up, immediately gets killed, and like that's the last thing he ever does. Namek Saga, he spends all of it dead. Cell Saga, he gets impaled by Dr. Gero and then just like he shows up at the Cell games. Doesn't do anything though. Like he fights a Cell Jr. somehow, but like that's it. And then fucking Buu Saga, Jesus Christ, does he even show up in the Buu Saga? I don't remember. But you know, he is the punching bag of the series. He's like, you know, like, oh, poor weak little shitty Yamcha. But I love that. You know, he's the lovable shitter. Incredible, you know, he's baseball player, which, you know, I do like. I love that's the career path he took after like the Z Fighters kind of like not disband, but you know, they stopped having to fight constantly. You know, Krillin, Cop, Boo, Tien opens up a dojo, but Krillin, Yamcha's like, nah, I'm gonna be a professional baseball player. That's sick. That's awesome. I love that. I love that for him. And technically, he was like the first rival Goku had, or at least like the first like enemy to like friend rival. But, and you know, he does that, and like that's like the last thing he ever does. But yeah, no, I love Yamcha. Yamcha's great. Lovable shitter, as I said. Zamasu, yeah, no, I don't really care for Zamasu a ton. I'll put him above Bardock, but that's about it. He's like the typical, like, godly figure who thinks humanity is disgusting and wants to wipe them all out. And I mean, to be fair, he does. Like, he wins. Like, Zeno has to, like, erase an entire timeline from existence because he achieved his goal. But, like, his character is just kind of boring. It's not really interesting. It doesn't really add anything new to, like, the trope or the character type. He's just, whatever. Goku Black is the interesting part about that arc. Zamasu is not. What the fuck? Okay, now here's my confusion. Why do we have Bojack and this bitch, but not the other two space pirates? What's going on with there? Who made this tier list? X-user at Michaela989. Fuck, I lost my place. 989869195. What about the other two? Because there were two other ones. Why only got the main one and the woman one? Come on, bro. I see through you. Like, I haven't watched BoJack. I couldn't tell you a single thing about her, other than the fact that she is a woman. Finally ending off with Zarbon. Zarbon is pretty cool in the capacity that, like, he's kind of like the first transformation we see in the entire series. Now, granted, we do have the Uzaru, in the original series and the Vegeta fight, but, like, Zarbon is, like, the first, like, other transformation we see, which, you know, kind of becomes almost Dragon Ball's gimmick, you know? No, I mean, it leads up to, like, Frieza with his fucking 18 Gorillion transformations. But, yeah, that's interesting. Like, you know, he's, like, Frieza's right-hand man. You know, he shows up and he fucking decimates Vegeta, as most villains do, because that's kind of Vegeta's role in the narrative. But it's just, you know, I like that about Zarbon. It's like, you know, looking back at it, it's like, yeah, no, he was kind of the first crack in the dam of, you know, the sea of transformations that would soon wash over us. I think that's cool. I think that's interesting. And I do like that he goes from, like, his base form being, like, this, like, not a slightly effeminate, you know, but still masculine character. Kind of like a pretty boy kind of thing. And then, you know, becomes this big frog-like monster man. I like that. I think it's cool. I like that Zarbon transformation is big and ugly. But yeah, I mean, that's Zarbon. And that's the tier list. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. I definitely had fun doing this one. Glad I was able to get an actual tier list Thursday in. Hopefully, in the future, they will all be, you know, worthwhile ones. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Music, by the way. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, fuck.